guys. So I meant to record the Gardening with Jules class when I had everybody on here. We had a great conversation, but I forgot to push record until I was a lot of way through it. So I'm going to start over and it's just me. But I just thought I would just quickly go over kind of my notes that I had on my class. And I'll just be honest with you. I am not a gardener, to be honest with you. I do not really feel like I have a green thumb. Thankfully, my husband does. And so we have plans and we have a garden going this year and it's doing pretty good so far. So I'll just go over my notes because I actually found this lady that is really good. They've homestead and I took her notes and I'm just going to share them with you. But I'm going to start off by just saying, I just love how versatile our oils are. And not only can we use them on our own bodies and with our kids, but also with our animals and in our gardens. And the more that we rely on these kind of tools, well, they're just really nature in a bottle. And so the more healthy we will be overall. So in gardening, it's so great to be able to use nature to promote nature. So we are nature, and so we're made of the same stuff that the earth is made of. And I love that the oils just give us a really simple way to be able to use our oils for better health and wellness. It's just so easy. You know, whether you're just diffusing the oils or maybe you're putting them on your skin and rolling them on your skin to help with skin irritations or whatever, it's just a really great way to just kind of naturally use something natural on us. And we're natural, so it's a really great combination. So I don't know if you guys have a garden or not, but I was telling you about my husband and he's actually trying some new things this year, like composting and companion gardening, lasagna gardening, and it's looking really good. So we're kind of excited. Composting is just so easy. It's something we've started doing in the last year. And we now have a big compost pile beside our garden that we're continuing to add to as we have all those scraps and things that are good to put in that. But I'm going to start off. I know that you guys are probably familiar with that wellness lifestyle triangle thing that we share in dōTERRA. And these things are not only important for us, but also for our plants. Let me share my screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So you guys have probably seen this. And so starting at that foundation, just like eating right is really important for us, it's also really important for our plants. It's actually the most important thing. And so obviously if plants are not getting the right nutrition, they're not going to grow, they're not going to be healthy, and no amount of essential oils is going to be able to fix a plant that doesn't have good nutrition. So that's not only true of ourselves, it's also true of plants because we're really so similar to plants. And it's interesting that when we start to peel away those layers, we think our health is so complicated, but the truth of it is if we can just come back to those fundamental basics, we'll really be a lot better off. So for plants, you can do something simple like just simple things that will really enhance what you're feeding your garden with essential oils to create that better balance. So for us, you know, eating right involves those good nutrients like those that we get from our Lifelong Vitality. I've shared a lot with you guys about how wonderful those supplements are. It's really hard to get nutrition, really good nutrition in our diets, but I love that this set has your organic fruits and vegetables. They have your essential minerals that come from a bioavailable source, not those synthetic alternatives that you find at Walmart and Walgreens and all these other places. They actually come in a form that your body can actually absorb like they can food, as well as your essential oils and your omegas. I mean, they're just loaded with all those things that you need every day. And so for our gardens, we need to think the same way. We need to think about what they need. What do they need in their soil to be nutritious to where those plants can actually grow? And so soil diversity is really important for plants. And so when we use chemicals in our gardens, it's kind of like what we talk about when we use pharmaceutical drugs. They might help us deal with whatever it is we have going on, but it's also going to cause a lot of other side effects and undesirable issues. And so just like we need that good balance of good and bad bacteria in our gut, when that gets out of balance, we're going to be unhealthy. It's actually the key to health. If you have that balance in your gut, you're not going to have disease. That's where the issues start. So we always got to be thinking about that. And I love that doTERRA helps also provide that for us with those probiotics and those enzymes, and even our vitamins have some of those things in there. That's good that, and the enzymes doTERRA has those Terrazymes, they actually have pre and probiotics, you know, so, and you can just go outside and walk barefoot. That's a really good way to get some of those pre and prebiotics. So especially this time of year, it's really good. It's that grounding. It's going to really help ground and give you some of those. It's hard to keep toenails clean this time of year. Like, I'm like, I need sandals that like are covered with the toes because I'm like, I can't clean all the dirt out of my toes when I'm like walking barefoot all the time outside in the mud and everything. But anyway, back to the garden. Okay. let's see. Okay, so composting. That's something that we've started doing. I mentioned before, and using essential oils that can kind of help keep the balance in your garden. So when things are out of balance, you're going to have probably mold and fungus and pests, and so you never want to entirely get rid of things. You may feel like you really, really, really want those squash bugs to die, but in the ecosystem, they're filling a niche. And so maybe they're feeding something else, or maybe they're eating something else that you want to get rid of. And so when you just like completely like destroy, something, it's probably going to take, throw something else out of whack. And then it's going to take even longer to regain that balance. So giving your garden nutrition is a whole class of itself that I am certainly not qualified to teach. I don't know what kind of nutrition your garden needs. It's something you'll have to get from a different teacher, but you could do something as simple as composting. That's one way to easily get help with the quality of your soil. You can put all your vegetable trash, your eggshells, your grass clippings, et cetera, into a compost pile for your garden. And so we just have like a little bowl under a sink, and that we put our coffee grinds in there. And by the way, speaking of coffee grinds, I was like reading somewhere that those actually help repel mosquitoes. And so put them in your yard or wherever, don't throw them away. They can kind of help with some of that stuff. But anyway, just put all those in your garden or wherever in a compost pile beside your garden. And that really can help with add diversity, worms, that microbes, probiotic content that you really want to have in your soil. And so if you begin to see fungus in your garden, think about what we would do for our bodies when we have a fungus issue. We use oregano and tea tree. So thyme is also a good option, but those you can use in your garden. So you can make a spray bottle and just put like in it. You don't need very much. And so I'll kind of get to that in a second, but like you don't need very much in your garden. They're very potent. A lot goes a long ways, or a little bit goes a long ways. So one good example I thought was interesting about diversity planting is the rose bush. On the dōTERRA website, according to this lady that I got this information from, she said there's a study where when you plant a garden with roses in it, the rest of the garden does better. I thought that was kind of interesting. We actually do have a rose bush kind of near our garden, so I'm hoping that kind of helps. But now, is a rose bush going to like drip oil, rose oil on your plants? No, but the aromatic compounds that are in the air, or maybe whatever else that it provides, maybe it brings in insects that are good for your garden. I'm not really sure, but anyway, that can make a really powerful tool for your garden. And so, yeah, if you don't have rose bushes in your garden, you can simply maybe put rose oil on before you go into the garden. And that rose touch makes it really easy to do that. Just roll it on your body and when you're working in the garden. And then you be the rose of your garden, a human diffuser rose. So one thing to remember about using essential oils in the garden is just think about how you would use them for babies and pets. And that's how you want to use them for your plants. Use a lot less. So like I said, a couple drops in a spray bottle, just spritz your garden for, whatever it is you're dealing with. On some things you might have to go stronger a little bit, but you don't need to be super strong. An example, like, putting that rose oil on yourselves, just having that aroma in your garden, it's just kind of like that aroma blowing in the breeze is just enough for your garden and your plants to get that experience. So it kind of makes me think of the Garden of Eden and, everything being in perfect balance and the aromatic compounds. And I mean, all of it just being that most perfect situation and just around all the time, just in that perfect harmony and perfect balance. And so that's what we might kind of try to recreate in our garden, is just having those aromas and things in our garden that really just kind of brings that balance. But so going back to our dōTERRA lifestyle. The next thing is exercise on that chart. Of course, that's really important. And so when we compare our plants to ourselves, plants actually thrive when they blow in the wind. And so it really kind of helps them dig deeply into the soil, more, like dig deeper, and helps them have deeper roots. And that helps them absorb more nutrition to grow more straight and strong. And then you'll notice, like, if you have plants in your home, how you're like, they go towards the sun, and so you have to turn them, and so they're not like all lopsided. So it really kind of helps to turn them around so they kind of grow stronger and straighter. So, and obviously we're not going to be using deep blue on our plants, but, you can just think about that, like the wind, there's a reason why that, they just grow stronger. So that's kind of nice. But the next thing on our chart here is reducing and managing stress. So obviously, as important as that is for ourselves, it's also important for our plants. And that's actually huge. So if our plants are stressed out, they will not produce fruit, they will die, they will yellow, they'll be more likely to grow mold, and they'll be weak when predators come. So that means they need to be watered and fed, have enough sunlight, and getting rid of pests that are similar, that are either too prolific or out of balance. that might harm our plants and can cause them, can help relieve that stress on them. So essential oils can actually play a powerful role here to help remove that pest pressure. And cedar wood is probably the #1 ultimate essential oil for the garden. It's really good. It's diverse, it's gentle, and it's a really good option to start with. You can also add lemon eucalyptus to that if you're wanting a good repellent, that you can add that to your cedar wood. And there's other essential oils that really help with repelling insects, like peppermint. Bugs don't like peppermint oil, and it can repel aphids, spiders, mice. And she also mentioned that fennel and dill can also be really good. And, slugs are something that can maybe hurt new plants, but you could actually just simply use cedar wood to help with that. Just spray it along the, where the slugs are around the base of the plants. With peppermint oil, if you're trying to repel certain things, you can make a spray bottle and spray it around the base of your plants and trees. And a bonus, if you're hot, just spritz the back of your neck and it kind of cool you down and you're repelling bugs at the same time. And also, when you're making your spray bottles, make sure you use water and not fractionated coconut oil, because like us, when a plant has oil on it, it can burn. So you know how when you have put oily things on your body, it can actually make you burn in the sun. The same thing happens with plants. So here's a few ways that you can use essential oils in the garden. Sprayers. So let me show you, like these are perfect. They come from dōTERRA. You can buy 2 for $12, but they're just kind of a mist. They just kind of like, just kind of a mist. They're not real strong. They're just kind of that mist. I put my cleaning solutions in here. I love these things. And so you can use those, and only a couple to a few drops is all you need, because dōTERRA oils are just really potent and the plants are tiny and they don't need a lot to survive and thrive. So I always say less is more, but consistency is key. So that's never more true than in your garden. And so if you're having trouble with slugs, then you can spray the base of the plant, just take it and spray around the base and see if that helps. But so the way that you would make these is just I like to add my water first, because if you don't and you add your essential oils first and then you overfill it with water, then your essential oils are going to be at the top because they float and they'll just spill right back out. So put your water in first and then add your few drops of essential oils. And then I would actually add a little bit of castile soap or natural liquid soap to act as a surfactant or emulsifier, because then it emulsifies and blends into the water better, and then the oils don't float, and it's getting a better uniform coverage on your leaves and insect plants. So I would probably add that to it, some of that castile soap, just a little bit, not very much, just to kind of make it like blend, and then it covers evenly. And then you just spray it directly on your fruits, vegetables, flowers, whatever. Also, I thought this was kind of interesting, hanging things. So you can actually get cloth fabric and hang it throughout your garden, and then you can just add your essential oils to that. And so you're getting that aroma, repelling the insects or whatever. Or you could soak a string and a mixture of water and essential oils, and that will help deter flying insects. So just soak it and then bring it outside and just put it up. I don't know how often you'd have to redo that, but that's a pretty cool idea. Also, for animals that like to burrow, cotton balls. You can put peppermint or cedar wood on cotton balls and then place them directly on top of the nest or burrows, or you can even put them in mole holes, mole or vole probably. And so usually an infestation of moles in your garden means something is unbalanced. Like maybe you have too many grubs in your soil or whatever it is like they like to eat, or too little of whatever that eats them. So maybe coyotes, foxes, and things like that. So the good thing about moles is that they actually naturally aerate your soil. I know we have a lot of moles out here. So we used to have coyotes, but I don't know where they went. So I'm not sure. So maybe that's why we have so many moles, but always try to think of the balance in nature and that bigger picture when you're trying to get rid of things. So getting rid of all the moles might create another problem, like having extra bugs, because moles like to eat all those things under the ground. Another thing that you can do is get cartons and bury the carton into the ground up to the top of the container, and then add your drops of oils to deter slugs, snails, mice, ground insects, whatever, So using things like insecticides, pesticides, and herbicides are toxic, as we well know. So when we put those toxics on our plants and we eat those plants, we are literally injecting poison. So it might seem easier at the time, but it's temporary and it will lead to further complications. So something to keep in mind is that glyphosate is a known killer. I'm sure you've heard of it. It negatively affects the health of our nation, and we're all suffering the consequences of that. It's a chemical that's highly used on fields all across America, And it's not even the farmers that use the most glyphosate. It's homeowners who spread it on their lawns, they spray it in their gardens. And then of course it floods down the rivers and the water sources and into our plants that we're eating. So killing insects really shouldn't be the goal. Those chemicals actually kill the insects, but they're also killing us. And so whether it's our brain cells, skin cells, liver cells, pancreatic cells, or whatever it is, it's having an effect on our bodies. So repelling insects is a much better option and it's kind of more simply manipulating nature. So what we really want to be doing is attracting the right things, because the more we attract those things, the less repelling we'll have to do. So we want to attract things that the pollinators, like the wasps and the bees, the spiders, frogs, and toads, because wasps, they help kill the hornworms. And I honestly hate spiders. I actually don't like bugs at all. I don't know. Anyway, they're a sign. Spiders are actually a sign that you have a tremendously healthy garden. So if you see spiders in your garden, that's actually a good sign. So attracting more of those things will have a powerful effect on your garden. So repel, not kill, is what we want to try to do. And then of course, oils can help because some of them have scents that pollinators are attracted to. So like oils like rose, like I mentioned, rolling rose touch on you. Jasmine is another one to get as a rollerball. Geranium and patchouli are also really good ones to have on you. You can put those on yourself before you go work in the garden. And then you can use those oils on cotton balls, strings, sprays, diffusers. You could, if you have a portable diffuser, you could just have that out there with some of those oils that are really good for diffusing to help with insect repellent or, or whatever you're trying to do. You can just have those around your garden. So, and I know I've used like diatomaceous earth to kill parasites and to kill Japanese beetles and things, but I just didn't realize, I didn't think about it killing earthworms, but it kills earthworms too. And you really want those because they're good for the garden. So we don't really want anything to die. We just want them to be more balanced together. So the other thing that on that lifestyle, dōTERRA lifestyle, is the proactive care. And so that just means, I mean, don't wait until your garden is stressed out before you start dealing with what's happening. You can make easy garden sprays that you can start using immediately for proactive care. And so you can try some of these oils. Cedar wood is really good. Like I mentioned, it's like the #1 essential oil for gardens, probably. Peppermint and lavender are also really good options. You can use Terra Shield, our insect repellent blend, on yourself or in sprays if you're trying to kill things in your garden that you're trying to kind of repel away from there. And so you can do that. Thyme is also, like I mentioned, incredible for the garden. It's good. It's a good fungal balance, and it also repels and attracts specific bugs. Patchouli and geranium, I think I said those earlier, they're really good repellents. And so just put them on before you go out. One thing that I thought was interesting, I was looking at something in the diamond group, and a lady mentioned a testimony about having fungus on plants, and what she did. Well, I'll just read her quote. She said, "I have used the On Guard cleaner concentrate mixed just like I would as a cleaner with great success on my garden and houseplants. They love it." Love is in caps, and great is also in caps. Great success. So something to think about. You could just use isn't that awesome? Like, you could not go to the store and buy cleaner and spray your garden or your plants with it, expect them to, they'd probably die. But our On Guard cleaner concentrate that we use in our house and everywhere, you can actually spray it in your garden, apparently, and they love it. So also, there's some plants that you can actually help to attract some pollinators. I know marigolds are really good. We had those in our garden before. We wanted to do it this year, and we didn't get them in yet. So nasturtiums and calendula are also really good for attracting pollinators to your garden. Basil oil or basil plants is also a really good one. And a lot of people will actually plant it with their tomatoes because it's a great partner plant and it improves the flavor of your tomatoes. So we have some little basil that we're trying to grow in our on our warming mat right now. So we'll have to get those out there in our tomatoes. I love basil too. It's so good. Tomatoes and basil. It reminds me of a caprese salad. So yummy. Yeah, so when we garden, we actually have this really beautiful opportunity to create something that we can't get anywhere else. And so we don't want to mimic what they're doing on those big farms, right? We want to do something better to give ourselves something more wholesome. And when we eat something straight out of the garden, that nutritional value just skyrockets if we're doing it naturally as much as we can compared to what we get from the grocery store. So it's time to get back to nature and use your essential oils instead of some of those killer chemicals and And so using some of these more natural ways is a much better way to do that. So anyway, that's all I had for now, but I do have like a PDF sheet of recipes. So I will post that below. And if I forget, remind me, but I will upload this to YouTube so you guys can watch this. So I'm sorry you missed the class tonight. You'll have to come on. It's a lot more fun when we have all our people here, and I totally meant to record it, but I really wish you guys would show up so we could have all of you together. But anyway, next time maybe we'll have these like these classes like every last Monday of the month. This week it was a little early because next Monday is Memorial Day weekend, but join us. We have the link in the group. So anyway, see you there. Talk to you later. Bye.